Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, here at the NYSE studios of theCUBE, of course, NYSE Wired, the Wired Community and Wired program. This is our Crypto Trailblazers program. We feature the leaders, the people making it happen, building the next generation infrastructure, investing, writing code, creating new products, changing the financial markets. Again, there's a whole tsunami coming together. We have a convergence of TradFi, DeFi, and a complete upgrade to the infrastructure. We've got a great guest here, Matt Prusak, president of American Bitcoin, co-founded with Eric Trump, Bill Tai, Hut 8. Big focused venture. Thanks for coming on theCUBE. Looking forward to chatting.
Thanks for having me.
So I love your business, mainly because you have your hands on some big iron, we used to call it back in the day. Very focused strategy around Bitcoin. Notable name, Eric Trump's co-founded it with you. Really made all the right moves. I did some research with Bill Tai on this. He explained the whole thing to me. Explain what's happening, because I think you guys have a very interesting business model, teed up beautifully for this Bitcoin revolution, because you're stacking the Bitcoin up.
That's exactly right. So American Bitcoin is effectively a pure play. So our ambition is to become a category leader in the Bitcoin ecosystem. The way we start is mining. So we run a very, very large Bitcoin mining business, several % of the global network, and our job there is safeguarding the Bitcoin supply. So there's about $2 trillion worth of Bitcoin market cap right now. As a miner, we're the ones keeping that network secure, and we're paid in Bitcoin for doing that. The second layer is a treasury. So you've seen the emergence now of what they call Bitcoin treasury companies. These are companies that are realizing that stockpiling the hardest asset on earth on their balance sheet is the best way to create a fortress of capital for themselves. And so we've decided to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, as quickly as possible, starting with mining, moving to capital markets, as we recently listed, and then finally becoming just a category leader across the ecosystem.
What's the current status of the company? Because I want to get into the whole Bitcoin is the next goal and some of the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're way underinflated what they could be. Give us a quick snapshot of where you guys are at right now in terms of progress and status.
Surely. So American Bitcoin is a publicly traded company. We recently went public. We've been out in the markets now for over a week. In that period of time, we've seen tremendous excitement. I think what we've really recognized is the desire of the everyday American to gain exposure to the Bitcoin story in a thoughtful way. And so folks know that if they invest in American Bitcoin, they're gaining exposure to the Bitcoin narrative overall. Not in a one-to-one like an ETF, but actually in a vehicle that is going to try and accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible for that given amount of investment that they can hope for.
And what's interesting, Matt, is that one of the things coming out of the Trailblazer series, as well as other observations, is that there's a huge, especially having theCUBE here in New York, we get Silicon Valley covered, tech scenes frothy with excitement both on the innovation, but here in New York, there's a demand for the equity on the crypto. There's still some people who might not understand how some of the deeper dives ventures work, but generally the markets are proven. It's wide open right now. There's thirst for the equity.
Yes.
And the demand, I mean, people weren't seeing the numbers go that high. They were surprised by the pops on the IPOs. What's your view on the equity demand? Just any comment or observation?
Absolutely. So what I think we're seeing is finally the combination of traditional finance, or TradFi, and decentralized finance, or DeFi, and the beginning of a serious wave of institutional adoption in cryptocurrency. And as folks are deciding what that initial entry point into crypto might be, Bitcoin stands out as the obvious market leader. Again, it's a multi-trillion-dollar proven cryptocurrency, digital asset, and for the institutions, this makes a logical first port of call as they enter the digital space.
It's in the national, international news. Obviously, the position of the current government in the U.S. clear. Stockpile Bitcoin as an asset for national security, sovereignty, and with stable coins and the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, you're starting to see kind of the key formulations of those policies that need to kind of give the confidence.
Yes.
Not just the enthusiasm's there, confidence.
Yeah.
And what it's doing with stable coins, and then the regulatory regimes behind it now catching up and pedaling as fast as they can. This is a competitive advantage for the United States, and then with the US dollar pegged against a stable coin, that's an extension of the US sovereignty, which is the dollar.
It is.
And so that's a disruptive enabler for countries that could have, watch their inflation, also pay down the debt. So this is an economic play, as well as a national defense. So I think the American Bitcoin direction is the Fort Knox of our world, or of America.
And if you think about it, so gold is about a $21 trillion asset. Bitcoin is about $2 trillion, right? There's plenty of headroom for Bitcoin and for the increased adoption to get up to where gold is as an international reserve asset. And we're already on our way. I think you're seeing now with inflation in the United States and abroad, people are getting more and more interested in finding ways to store value above and beyond fiat currency. And it's been remarkable to see the strides that the United States government has taken in welcoming this revolution to the United States. America has really signaled that it could be the digital asset leader above and beyond its success in the traditional finance world, and there's much more to come.
You know, Matt, I was talking to other entrepreneurs, very successful, early pioneers and trailblazers as well, and they testified in front of Congress during the bipartisan, crypto outlook, or whatever the name of the hearing was. I'm not into the political scene very much, other than they were there. And it was, the quote from the entrepreneur, it was clearly bipartisan.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about liberty, freedom, justice for all kind of stuff. By having the digital currency and having that democratization, access to capital, access to the network, there's no politics involved here. Share it, because I think this is a super important point, because this is like bipartisan.
I fully agree. I think you've seen a sea change in the political world. So if you go to DC now, the work that they put into the Genius work, so the upcoming bills they want to work on in the fall, it's night and day from what we'd seen in the past. And it's almost analogous to the 1930s with the numerous securities sort of regulations that really set the foundation for the U.S. to dominate capital in the 20th century. We're now setting up to do the same in the 21st.
Got it. So what's your biggest opportunity right now? What are you working on? Can you share some of the tactics, your objectives? What are you optimizing for?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. So it is essential for American Bitcoin to have as many of those 21 million as possible. We're doing that a few different ways.
They're not making any more.
They're not making any more. That's the value add.
What people don't understand, there's more growth ahead than behind us. I mean, if you think about the number, they're not making any more.
No, the only Bitcoin that's coming out now is what the miners get is the reward, and it's a small fraction of the total
sliver.
So yeah, we'll do our best.
All right, so what's the future look like? What do you see happening? What do you want to have happen? What's the preferred future look like?
I think we live in a world where folks are easily able to transact value in Bitcoin as easily as they can in dollars, right? So similar to how people might use a sort of a PayPal type app, they're able to do so in the blockchain realm, transparent, secure, rapid. It's just a better product, right? And I think Bitcoin is a way for people to really engage with that system and hold their value in a way that's safe.
I have to ask you about the IPO, the public offering. How'd that go, and what does that mean for average people?
Yeah, so our listing was a phenomenal success. What we really noticed from the crowd and from the investors was both interest on the institutional side. Again, a pretty big deal to see the amount of institutional interest that we're getting into cryptocurrency and American Bitcoin, as well as retail. I think the average American, the everyday American is excited for the opportunity to again step into the Bitcoin world. And as they look out across the landscape, American Bitcoin is really standing out as a legitimate brand for them to spend time with.
It's a great brand. Final question, obviously energy, AI and crypto and blockchain, it's all bounded by energy. Yes. Obviously energy is a top conversation across all aspects of global issues around like who's got the most energy. I mean, we cover CapEx data center growth like it's nobody's business on the enterprise side with the hyperscalers. Yeah. The demand for capacity, just for AI, never mind what you guys are doing. How are you looking at that? Do you seeing any answers around the corner? Are you prepared for it? Obviously with Hut 8 and some of the things you're doing, you're pretty solid. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, so American Bitcoin really benefits from its partnership with Hut 8, right? So it's our sibling company. They're a preeminent infrastructure provider, especially for Bitcoin mining. They have an ample pipeline that we can draw from, and Bitcoin is an energy, at the end of the day, an energy-backed currency, right? So for us, having access to an energy pipeline that is at great prices in stable jurisdictions in the United States is a remarkable advantage.
And the Treasury play is great. You store it, you hold it, you stake it.
Yeah.
Economics.
Yeah.
How's that looking?
Listen, again, there's less Bitcoin out there for grabs every day. So I think when it comes to the Treasury, it really just comes down to making sure that we're able to harness the capital markets to accumulate.
Certainly get a lot of friends when you're stockpiling all that. Matt, thanks for coming on. Congratulations on the public listing. And great, we appreciate what you do.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Okay, blazing the trail. Talk about blazing the trail, setting the trail up with the stockpile of Bitcoin. American mining and Bitcoin is all key to success. Bounded by energy. This is theCUBE bringing our part to bring you the data. I'm John Furrier, your host. Thanks for watching.